Hey everybody, welcome back. Today I'm going to be showing off SignalR with WPF by connecting a WPF application to a SignalR hub. So what exactly is SignalR? If you guys aren't familiar, SignalR is basically just a library that provides support for real-time communication between applications. They can be web apps, mobile apps, or in our case, a desktop application such as a WPF app. So a good example of when you would want to use something like SignalR is, say, if you're creating a real-time chat application or you have a social media site where you want to send live updates to users, then you'd want to use SignalR so that you can push those messages to your clients. So how exactly is this all going to work? Well, on a high level, we're going to have our WPF applications. Those are going to be our clients. And our clients are going to connect to a SignalR server, and they'll be able to send messages to that SignalR server using the SignalR client library, which we're going to get into, and then the SignalR server is going to send out the messages that it receives to all of the clients that are connected to it. Now that we understand what SignalR is, how it works on a high level, when you want to use it, let's get into the application that we're going to be dealing with. So I have this project laid out, and if you guys want to follow along with this project template, I have the link in the description where you can download the source code. So let's go ahead and run this. And like I said, SignalR is great for real-time chat. So I have a chat room here, but it's not like your ordinary chat room where you just send messages back and forth. These are color messages. So what the user is going to do is they're going to configure a color that they want to send, and then they can press the send button, and it's going to send this color to the SignalR server, and the SignalR server is going to broadcast that color to all of the clients that are connected to the server. Before we dig deeper into the WPF client, let's go ahead and set up our SignalR server. So first thing we need to do is add a new project, and this is going to be an ASP.NET Core web application which has SignalR built into it. Let's go ahead and select that. We're going to call this colorchat.signalr, and let's go ahead and create that. And this is also going to be an empty project. And here we go. We got our SignalR project. Let's go ahead and open this up. And let's go into our startup.cs. So in this configure services, all we need to do is say services.add SignalR. And this will inject all the services that are required for SignalR to work with our .NET Core application. And those services are going to be required for our SignalR hub. So let's go ahead and create a hub. And a hub is pretty much what the client is going to connect to. So this hub that we're going to create, we're going to call this the Color Chat Hub. And this is just a regular class, and it's going to inherit from hub. And as you can see, that is part of the SignalR namespace. So this is SignalR Hub. Now our hub is going to be super simple, and really our entire SignalR project is going to be super simple because SignalR is just a really powerful library, and they take care of all of the nitty-gritty difficult things, so you can just focus on setting up your real-time application. So on our hub, we need to have a method that our clients can call. So our clients want to send a color message, so let's go ahead and set up that method. It's going to be an async task send color message, and our clients are going to send a color chat color. So what is a color chat color? That is this model I have in my domain layer. Color chat color is just an RGB color, and the reason I have it in its own separate project is so that our WPF app and our SignalR app can share this model, and then the message communication is really simple to set up. Now of course, if you had, say, like a JavaScript client, you would just want to send a JSON object to the hub that matches this object structure. But we're not going to get into that because we are dealing solely with C#, so we can just share this model. Now to do that, we are going to have to add a reference to this domain layer in our SignalR project. And there we go. So we are going to be sending a color message, and it's going to have this color chat color, and we're going to call this method from our clients. Now after we call this, what we want to do is broadcast this color to everyone else who's connected to this hub. So to do that, very simple, we are just going to use this clients property on the hub, and we want to send this to all the clients, and we're going to send a sync, a method name, and the data that we are going to send. So this method name is going to be important when we set up our client, but we're just going to call this receive color message. And the data that we're going to send is just the color. So now that we have this hub, we need to register this hub as an endpoint so that clients can connect to it. So in this use endpoints, we can just get rid of this little scaffolded out piece of code, and we're going to do endpoints.mapHub, and the type of hub that we're mapping, that's going to be our color chat hub that we just set up. And the endpoint to connect to the color chat hub is going to be /colorchat. And believe it or not, that's actually all we need to do to set up our SignalR hub. Let's go ahead and just knock out these comments because they're ugly. And now we can move into setting up the client. So the client is just a regular MVVM application. Not going to be going too in depth with MVVM in this video because this is a SignalR tutorial. But I have my views, I have my view models. Let's actually head into our app.xaml.cs, and I have this on startup method that we override for our app, and this is basically where our application starts up. So when I start up, I want to set up my SignalR connection. Now before we do that, let's go ahead and add the SignalR client library. So let's go into our NuGet packages, and we're going to browse for SignalR.client. And we need, I believe, the SignalR.client for ASP.NET Core. I believe it's this one right here, Microsoft.ASP.NET Core, SignalR client version 3.15. So let's go ahead and download that. And now we're ready to set up this connection. So back in our app.cs, app.xaml.cs, let's go ahead and create a hub connection. Gonna have to import that, and we're gonna call this connection, and we are gonna create a connection using a hub connection builder. And using this builder, we can specify the URL that we're gonna connect to, which I'm not actually sure what the URL is. But to find that out, we can go into our SignalR project, open this properties folder, and we have our launch settings.json, and we're gonna launch using the colorchat.signalr launch profile. And with that, our app URL is localhost 5000. I think we're actually going to use the non-HTTPS version. So let's go ahead and just copy that. And back in our app.xaml.cs, we're going to paste that as our URL. But not just this. This is just the base URL for our server. We need to specify the URL for our hub. So as we recall in our startup.cs, our hub is mapped to /colorchat, so we need to append that to the end of our URL. And then now that we have that URL, we can build our hub connection. And there we go. So we have a connection, so we can connect to our hub. So now we're ready to use that in our application, and we are going to use that in a service that I'm going to create that is going to talk to our hub. So let's go ahead and create a new folder, and it's going to be services. And I'm going to call this service the SignalR chat service. And we'll go ahead and make that public. And what is the SignalR chat service going to do? Well, first off, we know it's going to need our hub connection, so let's go ahead and pass that in. And that's going to be passed in through the constructor. So we can highlight this and generate a constructor, and we're going to pass that in our app.xaml where we created that hub connection. And now that we have that, what else is the chat service going to do? Well, it's going to have to notify when the connection receives a message from another client. So the best way to do that, of course, is with an event. So we're going to define an event, and it's just going to be an action. So this event, we can subscribe to it with a method that is going to take a color chat color, and that's going to be the color that we receive from our hub connection from another application. And we're just going to call this color message received. And what else are we going to do in our chat service? Well, we're going to actually connect to our hub. So this hub connection doesn't actually connect to the hub, but it sets up a hub connection, and you can use this connection object to actually start the connection. So let's create a method so that we can go ahead and start that connection. So this is going to be an async task, and we're going to call this just connect. Let's go ahead and import task, async wait. We don't want to block our UI. And inside here, all we're going to do is use that connection and start async. So this is actually what's going to start the connection to our SignalR server. And last but not least, we need a way to send a color message to our SignalR connection. So we're going to have another async method here, and this is going to be send color message, and it's going to take in a color chat color, and we're going to use that color when we talk to our SignalR hub. So that's great. We have a method scaffolded out to send a message to our connection, and we have an event to notify our application when we receive a color chat message from our SignalR service. So let's actually use our connection to raise this event and do something useful inside this method. So to send a color message, all we're going to do is use our connection and call send async, and this is going to send data to our hub connection. Now this first parameter here is the method name. So what is our method name? Well, if we look at our SignalR hub, the method that we are sending to is called sendColorMessage. So as you can see, this method name needs to match the method that you specify in the send async. So let's go ahead and just paste it in there. And what are we sending the sendColorMessage? We are sending the color. So again, this second parameter, this data that you're sending, needs to match this parameter right here, or at least needs to be able to serialize and deserialize into this object. Not going to get into that because that's all going to work because we're sharing this color chat color model. So back in here, we also need to await this so we don't block our UI. And now we are going to be sending our color to our SignalR server. So next up, we need to raise this event, this color message received event, whenever we receive a color from our SignalR server. So to do that, in our constructor, we can subscribe to a SignalR method with this on method on our connection. So on, and this takes in a method name. What method are we listening to? Well, if we look at our hub, we are listening for a receive color message. So whenever our connection receives a color message, we need to do something. And this takes in a callback, but of course, we need to get the data that we receive, and we can do that by making this on method a generic that takes in the data that we're looking for. So we need a color chat color, because of course that is the data that's going to get sent when we receive a color message. So now our callback right here is going to give us that color chat color. So we're going to specify that, and now we need to do something with this color. All that we're going to do is raise the color message received event. So we can invoke that with our color, and anyone who is subscribed to this event can receive the color that we get from our hub. So that is great. That's actually all we need to do for our SignalR chat service. Now let's go ahead and just use that in our view model. So let's go ahead into our color chat view model, and this is where we are going to be sending our message, and this is also the view model that shows all the messages that we have received. Again, not the prettiest view model, not the prettiest UI that I have either, but the main concept here is just showing off how to use SignalR in a WPF application. So this color chat view model is going to take that SignalR chat service, because we want to use that in this view model. And then in our app.xaml, we're going to have to pass that in through our constructor. So let's go ahead and just create a new SignalR chat service with our connection that we create right here. And let's go ahead and just import that namespace. And there we go. Now we can use our chat service. And we should be done in this app.xaml as well. Let's go ahead and close that out. So now that we have this, let's set up a command to send a color chat color to our SignalR server. So I'm going to have a command here, ICommand, and it's just going to be the send color chat color message command. And we can import ICommand, and let's go ahead and create this command. So I don't actually use relay command. I like to just actually put my commands in classes. I feel like it keeps my view models more slim and reusable. It keeps my commands more reusable, but that's a whole nother topic, so I'll be getting into that in another video. But let's create a new folder here for commands, and inside here let's create a new command, and I'm going to call this a send color chat color message command, and that name is super long, so I apologize for you people who aren't the best at typing. But let's go ahead and implement the ICommand interface. And what are we going to do in this command? Well, we need a reference to our color chat view model. So we'll just call that view model, and we can make that read only. And then we also need our SignalR chat service, so we'll call that chat service. Make that read only too. And let's generate constructors for these guys. So now we have our dependencies. For can execute, we're just going to return true for now, so we can always execute this method. And now we're ready to implement this execute method. So inside here, all that we're going to do is, we're first all going to make this an async void. A couple things about async void: never use it unless you are using it for an ICommand or you're using it in a Windows event handler. Otherwise, you want to use async task. And also, if you use it, make sure that you handle exceptions inside your async void method. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to surround this in a try catch and handle any exceptions. So inside here, what we're going to do is use our chat service, and we are simply going to send color message. And the color that we're going to send, we're just going to create that right here. So color chat color. Let's import that. And this takes red, green, and blue values. And we actually get those from our view model, which is our color chat view model. These properties right here are binded to our color picker that I showed on the UI. So we can grab those values, so red, and then we also have green, blue. So let's just copy those in there. So we're going to send our new color chat color, and if it was successful, then we're going to clear any error message that is on the view model. But if it was unsuccessful, then we are going to set an error message on the view model, and we'll just say unable to send color message. Cool, that is all good, and that's great. So now we are sending our color message. Now we need to set up a way to receive color messages and put them in our UI. So to do that, we're back in our color chat view model. First off, before we do that, let's actually set our send color chat color message command. So we're going to set that to the new send color chat color message command. We're going to pass in this view model and our chat service. So that's great, we can send colors. And now we need to receive colors. So to do that, we are going to use our chat service, and we can subscribe to this color message received. So let's create a message that handled that event, and inside here, let's go ahead and import that namespace for the color chat color. We're going to call this color, and inside here what we can do is add the color to our messages collection, and this is displayed on the UI, and it's actually a collection of color chat color view model. So we are going to have to create one of those. But all we have to do is use our messages and add a new color chat color view model. And this view model takes in our color. And there we go. So we are receiving messages, we are sending messages. But one last thing before we test this out, we need to bind our send color chat color message command to our view. So let's go into our color chat view, and let's go to our button for sending messages. So the command we need to bind to is the send color chat color message command. And there we go. So I hate to say it, but we're actually not quite ready to test this out. we need to actually call that connect method on our chat service. So we need to make sure that we're actually connected to our SignalR server before we start sending and receiving messages. Otherwise, it's just not going to work. So what we can do in our color chat view model is we can connect to our SignalR chat service here. So what we can do is chat service dot connect, and of course we can't make this async because we're in a constructor. So in fact, I'm not actually going to even do this in the constructor, because in reality we don't even want our constructor to be doing too much work anyways, and connecting is something that I feel like should be explicitly done. So what I'm going to do is move it into a static method here, and this is going to actually create a color chat view model, and I'm going to call this create connected view model, and it's going to take our chat service, and inside here what we're going to do is create that view model. I'll just call this view model, and let's create it, pass in our chat service, and once we're done that method we are going to return this view model. And inside here what we're going to do is actually set up that connection. So I'm going to call chat service dot connect, and again I'm not making this async because in this case we are getting back a color chat view model, and we need this view model back immediately so that we can bind it to our view. So we don't want to be doing async await here. So what we're going to do instead is just call connect and continue with. So this is going to execute the connect method, and inside continue with we can handle what we want to do if, say, the connection failed. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to take the task, and inside here we are going to check if the task had an exception. So task.exception equals, or it does not equal null. If it does not equal null, that means there is an exception, and if there is, all that we're going to do is use our view model, set the error message to unable to connect to color chat hub. And that should be everything we need to connect to our chat service. Now back in our app.xaml.cs, instead of creating a color chat view model like this, of course this doesn't connect us. What we need to do is call that static method. So color chat view model, create connected view model, and pass in the same dependencies. And now I think we are ready to finally test this out. So to test this, what I'm going to do is first off build this project. So I'm going to build, and then I'm going to start the SignalR server, and then I'm going to go back into the Solution Explorer, and I'm going to right click this and open the folder in File Explorer. And the reason I'm doing all this is because I want to start two of these color chats at the same time. So to do that, I'm just going to go into this bin, debug, netcore app, and this is where my build application is. So we can click that. I'm going to actually start two of them, and we're going to put them side by side so that we can see the chat in action, see the real-time greatness. So first I'm going to set this red color and send it, and there we go. Both of our chat rooms get this red color. So now this second application, it's going to send a green color, and there we go. Now we have a green color sent. So you can do this all day, and that is pretty much the basics of SignalR with WPF. So we went ahead and set up our SignalR hub, and then we created a chat service that can send messages to the hub and receive messages from the hub as well. So SignalR, great for real-time communication, super powerful library, not even super complicated to set up either, and you can do a lot of advanced things. Of course, this was a pretty simple example, but I hope you guys learned something from this video and can use SignalR in your own applications. Thank you all for watching. If you have any questions, criticisms, or concerns, be sure to leave them below in the comment section. But other than that, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to leave a like or subscribe for more. Thank you.